Okay, what is up, everybody? We are live. This is Ferny Ceballos. Welcome to your daily dose of awesome. Your live 15-minute daily motivation, inspiration, and education, so you can get your day started right. I'm back from a week in Vegas. Believe it or not, I've survived, and I didn't even party too much. That's pretty cool. It was a lot of business, a lot of networking. Obviously, I had an incredible experience at the GoPro Recruiting Mastery event. It was a pretty big roller coaster. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that much. And today I want to share a little bit about what happened on the Six Figure Summit and also at the actual GoPro Recruiting Mastery event. Bear in mind this talk here, 15-minute talk, is gonna pretty much boil down to two things. One, Tony Robbins. Tony did a 4-hour session with us, and I can't possibly go over everything he went through, but I definitely will give you some of my biggest takeaways from my experience there with Tony Robbins over the course of 4 hours, originally scheduled for 3 hours. And on social media recruiting. Social media recruiting is now a staple of the network marketing industry. Of course, here at Elite Marketing Pro, we've been advocating online recruiting strategies for over 10 years now, as the rest of the industry has, for the most part, resisted such strategies. But now that a lot of top earners are getting incredible results with social media recruiting, that's going to be a big topic. That was a big topic, big theme out of the GoPro Recruiting Mastery event. So in case you don't know who I am, my name is Ferny Ceballos. I'm a lead generation online marketing expert specializing in helping home business owners, that's network marketers, affiliate marketers, and direct sellers, multiply their incomes using the internet. Now, I built my first six-figure network marketing business within a couple years of discovering the information we teach here at Elite Marketing Pro. And over the past 10 years, I've been responsible for over $11 million and counting of income into my home businesses. So this stuff obviously has worked for me, but we've also been responsible for over hundreds of millions of dollars in income in the home businesses of our clients as well. So this stuff definitely works in multiple niches, especially in network marketing. Now, if you're new to our training, I highly recommend you subscribe to these Facebook Lives. We do them every single day, Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern. If you're watching this on your mobile device, click on the top right corner. On the top right corner, a little ellipsis symbol will show up. A menu will pop up once you click that. And you can like our fan page if you don't already like it. That'll unlock all the content, all the interviews we've done. So all that is completely free to you. But if you want to get notified every time we do something new and get a little ping on your phone that's not going to bother you too much, then you want to turn on notifications. So you want to turn on notifications for videos and live posts. You can leave them off for anything else. But definitely have that on because we bring on some very special guests. In fact, this week we're going to have some A players in the home business industry. Tomorrow we have Misha Wilson, who's built a multiple monthly six-figure income now in the home business space. And on Wednesday we're going to have Julie Burke once again, and I'm actually going to be live in Orlando along with Julie Burke, so that's going to be pretty cool. If you don't know Julie, I'll be talking about Julie in a little bit. If you're new to our, so if you're watching this on desktop, then you want to click on our logo right above the video. That'll take you to our fan page. Click like on the fan page on that same like button. There's a pull-down menu where you can actually turn on notifications to make sure that you get a little ping, a little reminder on your phone that says, "Hey, we're live." Or if you want to watch the recording later, you can still click on that and you can watch the recording. So with that said, let's hop right into the content, and let me actually see if I can hop on. Sometimes it gets a little weird getting to my fan page. There you go. So let me see. Okay, there I am. Awesome, guys. What is up? Have Julie Burke. Oh, there you go. What is up, Jonas? How you going, buddy? What did you learn? Oh, I'll tell you what I learned, man. Well, a lot of the stuff is nothing I didn't already know. I think all of the major breakthroughs out of this weekend had to do with what everybody is catching on with in the network marketing space. So, hi, Stuart, Andy, hey, Carrie. So, just so you guys know, Carrie Higgum and her husband Whit, this past month in November was their first $7,000 per month. That might not seem like a lot when you have all these internet marketers talking about millions of dollars and whatnot, but that's a huge step for them to be reaching that level of income per month in their home business. Pretty much within give or take 6-7 months in this space and mastering these skills, and they started at zero. And so that is pretty phenomenal. So I want to give a shout out to Carrie and Whit, who have been rocking it with their home business. So All right, so let's hop right into the content. I have some notes here that I have here written down. Now, first I want to cover real quick the Six Figure Summit. Now, there's not much I can tell you at a Six Figure Summit because that stuff is kept pretty confidential. And I trust me, I've learned my lesson from talking about that stuff last year. But there's stuff that was talked about inside that Six Figure Summit, and that relates to stuff that happened outside Six Figure Summit. So it's very important. Now, first, the biggest thing, obviously, out of this entire weekend, you're welcome, Carrie. Biggest thing that came out of this entire weekend was that, obviously, social media recruiting is now a big thing in the network marketing industry. They finally are, people in the industry, especially leaders, are finally open for the most part. Maybe not everybody, for the most part, are finally open to social media recruiting strategies. And, at one point in the Six Figure Summit inside the room, Eric asked everybody in the room, how many people here have recruited 100 more people using social media? And about 10% of the room raised their hand. Now, this is not who's using social media or not who's incorporating online marketing or social media recruiting in their as part of their strategy. Who's personally recruited over 100 people on social media? 10% of the room raised their hand. That should be a big deal. And so that pretty much, confirms that online recruiting strategies are a force and will continue to become a force in this space. And if you don't catch on, you're going to be left behind, regardless of where you're at, whether you're brand new or top earner, because you got to be able to support your team with these strategies, no matter what. So lots of talk on branding. I was actually a little surprised on the talk related to branding throughout the entire week. And so, but branding can be a hazy issue when you just say branding. What does that mean? And so I'm going to actually talk a little bit about that. And I'm going to kind of wrap things up with Tony Robbins. And so lots of talk, the talk relates to branding. For me, branding starts with what you can do for people. And so if you're somebody that has figured out a way to help other people, then your brand kind of begins there, because you can't develop a big brand like an Eric Gorey, Ray Higdon, Todd Falcone, whatever. Developing that big brand is created over trust, and that trust is founded on the idea that you're able to actually help somebody. And so if you're not in a position, or if you're not viewed as a person that can help somebody, then you have no brand. So that's for me, that starts with branding. And what I tell people specifically in our community as it relates to branding, and my definition differs a little bit from what what was talked about at GoPro. I think because they're being very, very, they don't want to be too direct and in defining things in general, because obviously you have a diverse group of people there, and you have different philosophies on different tactics and strategies that are used in those businesses. So generally, what you'll find at these events is, especially when it comes to Eric teaching, is he tries to be very generic and high level, because he doesn't want to contradict, obviously, the different ways that are possible to build a business and what's advocated within any particular organization. So, but for me, I don't have to worry about that, because I'm pretty direct. I teach out of what's worked for me and what's worked for the people in our community, and I find something that works, I want to directly talk about it, even if it's a little different from what something else in the community teaches. So we're open to that diversity, which is awesome. And so branding for me starts with essentially results. Really, at that point, it starts with the results, because when you have results, whether it's with a product experience or you have results in your business as it relates to generating results, now you're in a position where people want to know what you did. Like right now, there's probably some of you watching when I gave a shout out to Carrie and Witt in our community. And actually, they've already told me, they sent me an email. There was a bunch of people sending them emails asking, what are you guys doing? And their response was that there's no secret. We just kept doing what Ferny told us to do. And so that, but the idea that people are reaching out to them means they have started developing a very powerful brand, because now they're attractive. And people want to figure out what they're doing, but I mean I think they're being a little modest. There's a lot in what they did. A lot of it was just about iterations. I can't tell you how many times I kept reviewing their stuff over and over again. They send me an email, and I just kind of like go over it over and over and over again. Iterations and taking action is the biggest thing. because through that you're going to gain experience, especially if you're part of our mentorship program. And so also Tony Robbins, I want to share a little bit about what, some of the big nuggets that I got from Tony Robbins. That was a 4-hour session. There's impossible for me to remember, much less tell you about everything that I experienced. But there are a few things I have written down here that were some big takeaways. One quote from Tony Robbins: trade expectations for appreciation. Disappointment comes from expectations, but no one will ever meet your expectations. That's a big thing, especially as it relates to network marketing. He went on to say that rejection is when people don't do what you want them to do, meaning you have these expectations as to how they're going to respond to something, and maybe you have an expectation they're going to respond negatively. But rejection deals with somebody not doing what you want them to do. And so it's really hard to connect with people and be effective in what you're doing when you're focused on yourself. The only reason you're worried about rejection or somebody not doing what you want them to do is because you're focused on yourself. When you put the focus on other people and meeting the things they want in their life or the problem they will need to solve, then you don't have to worry about rejection. It doesn't have to be awkward or weird. So for example, I just talked about Carrie and Witt. They have a result that other people want. And so they're going to be attractive. People are going to reach out to them, and you guys are going to reach out to. Obviously, that's why people here at Elite Marketing Pro, that's why you guys are coming in droves every single day, becoming members of this community. Why? Because our marketing message is not focused on our brand. We're not putting Elite Marketing Pro out there and putting big ads with our logo. In fact, our logo is always small. In fact, in this video right now, you see our logo in the top, the top left corner, and so it's tiny. You can barely see it. Why? It's because we know you don't care about our logo. You care about the result. You care about the topic of this live. You care about what happened at GoPro Recruiting Mastery that's going to help you in your business. You don't care about just listening to me yammer. And so you need to focus on what you're going to do for other people. What you have how can it help other people? And that's how the conversation should revolve around every time you're having an enrollment conversation for your product, opportunity, or whatever. And how do you find out how you can help other people? You listen. You become a really good listener. Julie Burke, who we're going to have on in a couple of days, is going to in a couple months is going to be launching a new training. It's basically more expansive than Social Media Recruiter, and it's going to be all her own. It's not through Elite Marketing Pro, but I'm giving her a little plug here. She calls it the silent recruiting method. So the silent recruiting method, where does that idea come from? Well, it comes from the idea that she listens a lot. She asks questions and then shuts up and listens and focuses on what people tell her. And when you let people talk, they'll tell you what it is, what their biggest challenges in their life are. And then once you know those challenges, if you have something that can help them resolve those challenges, then you'll be a much more powerful recruiter. And also another key point from Tony Robbins is a breakthrough is a moment in time when everything changes and when the impossible becomes possible. Right now, some of you may have had a breakthrough as it relates to rejection and recruiting. When you are focused on other people versus focused on yourself, all of a sudden the idea of recruiting might have seemed really hard and really intimidating. But when I simply tell you, you just ask questions and shut up and listen and just listen to what they're telling you until you hear something that you can help somebody with based on what you have, then you don't, that's for me, that was a breakthrough for me when I got started in this business. The idea that you don't have to talk very much as part of the enrollment and recruiting process is a pretty big deal. And so again, a breakthrough is a moment in time when everything changes and the impossible becomes possible. Think about what breakthroughs you've had in your life that were, that's true. Also, as it relates to anything negative in our lives, whether dealing with rejection or other things, some of you may be struggling in your businesses right now for whatever reason. Tony, again, these are Tony Robbins quotes. Suffering is fear of loss, fear of less, or fear of never. And so again, suffering is a fear of loss, fear of less, fear of never. The only thing keeping you from what you want is a story you keep telling yourself. And so many of us have these beliefs about our capabilities, what's possible in our lives, etc. And for as long as we continue to tell ourselves that certain things that about who we are, I'm not that type of person, I'm not a salesperson, whatever, then those things will be continue to be true and manifest themselves as that in their life until you change it. Now, if those beliefs are keeping you from achieving the things you want in your life, then obviously your story needs to change. And that's where a breakthrough comes in, where something you previously thought was impossible for you becomes possible because you had a shift. How do you do that? You divorce your story from, divorce your story and marry the truth. That's a direct Tony Robbins quote. Divorce your story. If you have, those of you who have been through the Landmark Forum, you'll understand this concept in depth of the fact that we're constantly telling ourselves our story, even though we accept it as truth. And so replace that disempowering story with an empowering truth. Again, replace that disempowering story with an empowering truth. That's huge. And the idea of truth can be very vague, and I really don't have time to dive into the concept of truth. But for now, think of rather than talk about truth, talk about just what happens. What has happened in your life that made you create a story around something that that you no longer allow yourself to receive. For example, relationships. Oh, this person cheated on me. If I'm a woman, this guy cheated on me. So all guys are dogs. I'm never going to trust a guy ever again. And that story becomes your truth. Is it truth? Absolutely not. Is it true of some men? Yeah, but is it true of all? No. And that becomes a story that then keeps you from getting what you want, if that makes sense. Finally, as far as Tony goes, so all this stuff I knew, and I'm just sharing with you guys, and I knew it in one way or another, but it was nice how Tony broke it down. The biggest impact for me was learning something called the gratitude exercise, and you could actually watch this on YouTube. Look up the gratitude exercise, Tony Robbins, and it might not have the impact that it had for me at the event because you're watching it through a machine on YouTube. But practice it anyway. Pretend Tony's right there in the room with you, leading you through this. I realize this is just not something I do enough, focusing on what I'm grateful for. I'm a very logical person, and I'm very pragmatic in my mindset. And so it's something that I haven't done very much of, reflecting on what I'm grateful for, just because it's like, logically there's no practical purpose for it. It's like, I know the things I'm grateful for. Why do I need to reflect on it? Whatever. But you'll see it'll have a deep emotional impact, and it'll create a state change, especially if you're somebody that tends to focus on the negative side of things in your life. If at any point you feel bummed out, depressed, angry, I found that it was an incredible exercise to go through. So look that up. So I talked about Tony. Let me check out your comments here. Awesome, Jenny. Yes, thank you so much. So that was Tony Robbins. Let me come back to recruiting to social media recruiting, and then I'll be done here. And sorry if I'm a little scattered here. I'm just kind of going off of some notes. So big thing. The biggest thing that came out of the entire weekend was the opportunity I had to network, and it was networking around the concept of online recruiting. Bottom line here is that now at least 10% of top earners that were at this event are using social media recruiting strategies in a big way, meaning they've recruited over 100 people using social media or online strategies. And those that haven't are hungry for it. We have something here at Elite Marketing Pro that we can impact the lives of not only the struggling network marketer, but I challenge some of those of you that have had success in network marketing to actually reach out to top earners, people that are actually having success. Because what you'll find, as I found many times over this weekend, is that top earners are looking for leverage, and they wouldn't be top earners. They wouldn't be somebody that's entrepreneurial if they weren't looking for leverage. They wouldn't be in this industry if they weren't looking for leverage. And building online offers the ultimate leverage. And so I challenge some of you guys to actually be, those of you, especially those of you who are already successful or having success, to reach out to top earners, people you see that are successful in network marketing, And what you'll find is that they're actively looking. I have a bunch of calls scheduled this week. I think a couple people that I met at the event, but a lot of people that have reached out to me organically because they want to learn. These are top earners who want to learn how to utilize online strategies to build their businesses. So it's not just about struggling network marketers anymore. And I found that through networking. And we have the ultimate resource. Eric Worre launched his social media mastery course, which was based off of interviews that he did with 77 top earners. Although none of those top earners are doing the actual delivery of the training. That's Eric in front of a camera, basically going through the things he learned from these top earners. And I went through the entire product. The one thing I'll say is that it's very strong on network marketing fundamentals within the context of social media. One big thing he talks about is don't talk about your company publicly, which is a huge shift from even stuff that he was teaching a couple years ago, because social media is different. And so he's, a few things change in philosophy, but overall that training is very heavy on network marketing fundamentals, which is important because every product has to be able to stand on its own. And there's some awesome training on kind of developing your story as it relates to the recruiting process. Now, one of the challenges that probably GoPro has is that they deal with such a diverse group of people with different ways of approaching recruiting, much less social media recruiting, that the training is very generic. So it's not specific to any platform. So it's not, specific to Facebook or LinkedIn. It's basically, it speaks in general terms about all these different platforms. There's no specifics on scripts or processes. There's processes on the high level, but not specifics. And so that's, I think that's some of the weaknesses in that course. But I still recommend it, because if you're somebody that has not been through a lot of fundamental training in network marketing, having that put in the context of social media is important. But also what this whole experience with GoPro and everything has told me is that EMP and all of you guys are positioned perfectly to rock it with Social Media Recruiter as a offer to lead with as this kind of landscape in the network marketing home business space continues to shift. And Social Media Recruiter, in my opinion, is still the superior course in the industry. There's actually only 2 courses that I recommend on social media recruiting. It's the 10K Recruiting Formula by Jessica Higdon, and of course, Julie Burke's course. And Julie has herself built a multiple 6-figure income almost exclusively using social media to develop her brand and create connections. And it's very methodical and specific. You guys that went through it, know that already. And bottom line is what we have here at EMP, and will continue to evolve to, is to be ahead of the curve in every way in the home business network marketing space. And so I got some pretty cool things to share with you that are going to be coming up. Now, I met a couple people, and I'm just kind of foreshadowing so you guys know what happens in the couple months, so you guys kind of stay engaged. I met a couple people, and one person in particular who's using social media recruiting unlike anybody else I've ever seen. It is just the process that she's doing is just radically different from any type of traditional approach. In fact, she herself will admit that she's not a very good traditional networker, but she's managed to build, a 7-figure, if not multiple 7-figure income, almost exclusively on social media, but in a very different way. In fact, I kind of described what she was doing as a social funnel. So she basically had built a sales funnel on social media, and so it's very process oriented. So what I'm basically going to do is, my job is to have her come to EMP and share some of the stuff that she's doing, and it actually works perfectly with the stuff Julie shared, because it's basically it's the rest of the story in a radically different way. So for now, you guys can use what Julie's doing to create connections, and then you guys, from the point of where you create the connection and get somebody interested in your business, then you can do the rest of the recruiting process you're normally taught within your company. But if you want something that's even more powerful, then you want to stick around with EMP, because that rest of the story, what you do after you get somebody interested in your business, how you present to them can be pretty passive, pretty powerful. And so stay tuned with EMP in the next couple weeks, is that this is just so different from anything I've ever seen. But I guarantee it'll be powerful, and it's something that, for the most part, most of you will be able to implement in your businesses. So my advice to you guys is get really good at social media recruiting. Get really good, obviously, on advanced internet marketing strategies that we teach our Elite Marketing Pro, because that is the next level. But that middle part as to how it is you actually present and convert people. So we'll be kind of addressing that in the next month or two, as I have further conversations with a couple of these top earners that just have a radically different approach, and they're not on stage at any event. I think mainly because they don't want to, rock the boat. But I'm all about rocking the boat, so I'll definitely have them on and do everything I can to bring that strategy to you. So that said, let me just check in real quick here, guys. What is up? Thanks, Michael. What's up, man? He rocks. So Irma, yeah, a lot of people were there. I mean, so this event, GoPro Recruiting Mastery, the main event, I think it was between 15 to 20,000. It's kind of, at some point, it's hard to estimate the size of a room. It's at the convention center. Convention center was full. So 15 to 20,000 people. Some people kept saying 15. Some people said 20, and everything in between. So who knows how many people? But at that point, it doesn't matter. The event is so huge. What's up, Ton? Hi, Jenny. Yeah, I will rock the boat, Jenny. I sometimes get in trouble for rocking the boat, but I do it because I want to get people's attention. The bottom line. One thing you notice about Tony Robbins is at all his events, all his training, he curses a lot. He drops F-bombs left and right because he's trying to just kind of get your attention and create that state change. And so, but I will say at the GoPro Recruiting Mastery event, he didn't drop any F-bombs, and he pretty much kept the cursing to a limit. I think it was probably part of his contract. He might have upset a few people last year. But it's all good. Tony was awesome regardless. Maybe that'll teach him. Maybe he doesn't need to drop as many F-bombs, but it's not something I mind, but other people do. So that's it, guys. So thanks, Tom, Jenny, Michael, everybody for being here. I'll be on travel tomorrow. So very likely I'll have Chef Katrina helping you guys filling in tomorrow. And then on Wednesday, we'll be broadcasting live from Orlando with Julie Burke and, kind of continue the conversation on social media recruiting. And those of you who want to learn more about our social media recruiter product put together by Julie Burke, you can actually click the link in the description. You'll have 1 hour to basically get that social media recruiter at a 50% discount, meaning at $97, a fraction of any of the training that is out there yet. I still believe our product, as it relates to Julie Burke's training, is the best in the industry right now. And if at any point it ceases being the best, you'll bet your butt we'll be updating to make sure we stay on top. So that's it for today, guys. Have an awesome day. We'll see you tomorrow.